Let's dive into one of the most dramatic and honestly mind-bending prophecies in all of Scripture, the final, ultimate battle at the very end of the world. Now, you may have heard the names Gog and Magog before, but for this explainer, we are honing in specifically on the story as it's told in Revelation, chapter 20. I want you to just imagine this for a second. 1,000 years, a whole millennium where the world knows nothing but peace and righteousness. It sounds like the perfect ending to the story, right? But the scriptures ask this really fascinating and kind of unsettling question. What happens after that? How could anything possibly go wrong in a perfect world?
So our story picks up right where the 1,000-year reign, the millennium, ends. After being locked away for 10 centuries, Satan is let out of his prison for one last all-or-nothing attempt to take back the world. This is it. This is his final stand. And this passage from Revelation really sets the stage for us. Satan is back on the scene, and he has one mission and one mission only: deception. He goes out to every corner of the earth to rally the nations for this one final massive war. But that just begs the question, doesn't it? How could people who have only known peace for 1,000 years be deceived so easily?
Well, to get a handle on how a perfect society could just crumble, we can actually look at a powerful pattern that's laid out for us in the Book of Mormon. It's almost like a historical case study of how a utopia can completely unravel. You see, after Christ's visit to the Americas, a society popped up that was, for a while, pretty much perfect. The scriptures describe it with these incredible words: no contention, no envy, no fighting. They shared everything, and the text says it flat out. Surely there could not be a happier people. It was a true golden age. It sounds idyllic, right? Almost unbreakable. So, what went wrong? How does a society like that fall from such an incredible height? This slide really lays out the whole tragic cycle. And look at where it starts, with unity, a perfect, happy community. But follow the arrow. That unity leads straight to prosperity and riches. And that prosperity, well, it fuels pride. You see it in things like people wearing costly apparel to show off how well they're doing. And from there, it's a quick slide into division, into classes. And the very last stop on this train, as you can see, is total destruction. And that pattern, that very cycle of pride and division, that's what brings us right back to Revelation. It's the key that unlocks how Satan is able to gather his final army at the end of the millennium. A force so huge, it's described as being like the sand of the sea. Okay, and here we hit on a really fascinating theological point. On the one hand, Revelation says pretty clearly that Satan is the one gathering his armies. But then you have this passage from Jacob in the Book of Mormon that suggests the Lord is actually the one orchestrating the whole thing, separating the good from the bad. It brings up a deep question. Is this just Satan's final rebellion, or is it all part of a divine plan to finally sift humanity? So you have these two massive forces gathering for a fight. But who are the generals? This isn't just a battle between mortals. It's a cosmic showdown between the ultimate forces of good and evil. And let's be super clear on this next point, because it's a really common mix-up. This battle of Gog and Magog is not the Battle of Armageddon. Armageddon is the big battle that happens before the 1,000 years of peace. This conflict we're talking about now is the final bookend to all of mortal history. This passage frames it perfectly. On one side, you've got Michael, the archangel, leading the hosts of heaven. And on the other, the devil is gathering the hosts of hell. See, this isn't just another war on earth. This is the ultimate spiritual war for the fate of everything. So, the armies are assembled, the commanders are in place, but the battle itself, it's surprisingly quick. Its whole purpose isn't some long, drawn-out war. It's a final, decisive judgment that will cleanse the earth for good. The climax is short, sweet, and absolute. Satan's huge armies, the ones that have surrounded the camp of the saints, are just wiped out. Fire comes down from God out of heaven and devours them. The rebellion is snuffed out in an instant. But what does fire from heaven actually mean here? Well, the source notes suggest this might be symbolic. It doesn't have to be a literal firestorm. The whole point of the image is to show us a judgment that is sudden, absolute, and totally complete. It's a divine and final end to the enemy, just sweeping them away entirely. So why does this battle even need to happen at all? Well, it actually serves a few really crucial purposes. First, it puts a definitive end to Satan's power over the saints. Second, it physically removes him and all his followers from the earth. Third, it casts them all away into what the scriptures call their own place. And finally, it's the ultimate cleansing, preparing the earth for its final glorified state, its celestialization.
And all of this brings us to one last really deep thought to leave you with. Is this final state, this hell or outer darkness, is it a punishment that God inflicts? Or is it something else? Is it simply the kind of society the wicked end up creating for themselves? The natural, unhappy consequence of a world built entirely without God? It's a question that really reframes how we think about the whole idea of a final judgment.